allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here for you in 3D. I would like to invite all of our listeners and viewers, if you're in our area, come and worship with us at New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue at the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. There is parking on Hillcrest. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road, where I serve as senior pastor. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. If you're not in our area, wherever you are across the U.S. and wherever you are around the globe, tune in for the Sunday sermon at 10:45 a.m. Now, mind you, we begin our service at 10 a.m. So if you're in our area, you don't want to miss that. You want to come and worship with us as we prepare to experience a better quality of life through the Word of God every Sunday at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue at the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. Now, our Sunday sermon goes live at 10:45 a.m., so set your reminders wherever you are so that you can be notified and receive an alert to tune in to the Sunday sermon. I'm in the midst of a series, Living in the Fullness of God. Living within the fullness of God. You don't want to miss that. It's part 3 on Sunday morning at New Life Christian Center. I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, every day we are here from 12:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, for you to discuss whatever topics are important to you, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart and whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So that is the reason we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And if you have any doubts, just taste and see that this Fiji Water is Earth's finest water. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast, we thank you for your commitment and your support. Those of you who have been giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you who give on the contribution page of our website at newlifeministriesinternational.com, we do not take that for granted. We thank you for your commitment and your support as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics are of importance to you and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, it's the end of the week. I'm really believing God that everyone has finished this week strong. I just want to remind everyone that we are expanding our platforms. We will be going on RadioFreeNetwork.com in the coming month. So just be prepared. You don't want to miss this as we continue to expand the broadcast. I'll make you aware of all the platforms that we're going to be on. You know, we're Facebook Live, we're YouTube Live, and of course we're on our app. But we're going to be expanding on some other platforms. And I will share with you something that is going to be very exciting coming up. So I will share that with you also. So stay tuned. Encourage your family, friends, co-workers, and colleagues to tune in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have a former significant other with whom you ended a relationship some time ago. However, you realize now that he was better than any man before him and any man after him. And you want to know, what can you do about it? So let me say this to you, first and foremost. You ended the relationship and you both are living your own lives now. Sometimes you can't unring the bell. You have to recognize that because you're living your own lives now, and because you made the decision to end the relationship has come to an end. What you've got to do now is you have to use this experience as a way of improving your method of enjoying relationships. You have to look. You had relationships before him. You've had relationships since him. You know, often we realize the old adage is true, that you don't miss your well till the water runs dry, or you don't miss your water until the well runs dry. Ooh, it's been a long week. Okay, you don't miss the water until the well runs dry. So you have to recognize that you've dated since, and you realize that what you had was better than what you've been having, and is better than what you've had previously. So you've got to use this as a learning experience. For all of us, we've all had, in the course of our lifetimes, bad relationships. We've also had some relationships that may have been good relationships, but we didn't realize how good they were. But you can't go back and revisit that, because that's the past. It's not the present, and it's not your future. What you can do is learn from that. And you learn that when you have a good relationship, you don't want to ruin the relationship with a bad attitude. You don't want to ruin a relationship with constantly complaining. You don't want to ruin a relationship with negativity. You should be looking for the positives in every day life. You should be searching for your peace. And you know, I often talk about this. Searching for your peace. So often, we as human beings, we find reasons, and this is going to take me into another communication that was sent in by one of our listeners and viewers, but I've got to start here. We spend our lives complaining about nothing. There's really no reason to complain, but we find a reason to complain. We can never just keep things real simple. I want to encourage everyone, and this is for you, because the reason you ended that relationship is because it didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Well, here's a news flash. Every relationship is not going to go the way you want it to go. But the reality is, we as human beings spend a lot of time, unnecessary time, complaining about everything, and yet complaining about nothing. We all that are in good health need to be thankful for our good health. We all wake up in the morning. We should have peace of mind when we wake up in the morning, and we should be searching for our peace throughout the day. However, we start finding little things to complain about. We find little things to be negative about. We find it's never enough to just have peace. We're looking for problems. And, you know, we talked about this often. You cannot spend your day looking for a problem. And society has really damaged us. We are damaged goods. Society has damaged us because even when life is good, we find reasons to complain. We find things to be negative about. We find, sometimes it's better to just be silent and not say anything. But society has taught us that we need to be heard, and if we're not getting the response that we want, that we just need to be louder. And sometimes we're just loud and wrong. We really need to search for our peace in every single day. Search for our peace. Be at peace. Learn to be at peace with ourselves. So the attitude is not going to give you peace. The bad behavior, acting out, is not going to give you peace. Learning to make a bigger commitment and being dedicated to the commitment is going to give you peace. We have to learn to eliminate the negative and present the positive. Why is it so important that we feel like we need to be heard? And that's what I mean when I say we're damaged goods, because society has taught us that. Has taught us that the squeaky wheel gets oiled. Well, sooner or later, if there's a squeaky wheel oiling it, sooner or later it's still going to break. And that's part of the problem with our society now. We grind and grind and grind until we wear one another out. And at some point, the squeaky wheel that I just talked about, at some point, the squeak isn't even being heard. The squeak is being ignored. We've got to change our thought process. And what you have to do with this energy that you have to desire a relationship that you cannot restore because both of you are living your own lives now. You have to use this as an example of how you're going to have the next relationship. See, you've had a couple of relationships since that relationship, and they didn't last either. The one common denominator, when we cannot get something right, the one common denominator in the equation is always us. So we have to correct the equation. And that means we have to correct our attitude, we have to correct our behavior, we have to correct our commitment, there's a lot of things we have to correct. And if we put the work in, we can be successful in making the transition, the change that will allow us to be successful in whether it's the next relationship or whether it's the next job or whether it's the next, whatever it might be, the next. Let's make certain that we are really focusing on becoming successful in every aspect of our lives. So in your case, what I'm going to recommend to you, because God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life what's going on, what I'm going to recommend to you is to use that experience that you had, that relationship that you had previously, as the example of what your next relationship should be. Instead of believing that because it didn't go your way, the relationship was not good, because you've seen now that the two relationships since then have not been any better than the one you decided you no longer wanted. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, nor have you been for for the previous 90 days, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you can become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that there is a significant amount of tension within your family, and you want to know how can you get some peace restored collectively. How can you get everyone in the same place of peace? So let me say this to you. The problem within your family is that every personality wants to do things their way. What's really interesting is there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. Sometimes we have to modify the right way to do things. There may be some modifications necessary depending on the circumstances. We have to look at each particular circumstance, and we have to make a good decision, a good and competent decision based on all of the information that's available to us, all of the data, and then we make a good decision. What you cannot have in your family is you have your mother, your father, your siblings. Everyone has a different personality, which is very interesting dynamic because God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. You know, you generally pick up traits from your parents. You and your siblings all have different personalities. Now, I'm not saying that there might not be some underlying similarities to your parents' personalities, but overall, you all have very different personalities. And every one of your personalities wants to do things their own way, whether it's the right way to do it or whether it's the wrong way to do it, because in all of your eyes, even the wrong way of doing something is the right way of doing something, because it's your way. The question I would ask is, how's that working for you? And the reason that I use that analogy is because, or ask that rhetorical question, is because you've written this communication recognizing that there's a lot of tension within your family. Within your family dynamics, there's a lot of tension. Every time you communicate, there's always a debate, there's always dissension. It started out where some of you just weren't listening to one another. And then it became, okay, because you're listening now, we're going to debate every decision. That is totally unnecessary. Every one of you has your own competencies. Every one of you has your own skill set. Every one of you has your own understanding of different dynamics. Your own understanding. Every one of you has a good understanding of your area of expertise. Let me go there. But everyone wants to cross over in each other's lane, because instead of listening, you would prefer to tell each other what you feel is the best way to do something and then just deciding you're going to do it no matter what. Now, this is a little different than being able to make good decisions and then standing on the decision, because you can't vacillate. You can't go back and forth just for the sake of having debate. You can't go back and forth in your mind, because the Bible tells us a double-minded man or woman is unstable in their ways. You've got to make certain that you're making decisions based on the data available and the research that you've completed. The problem is every personality wants to do things their own way. And then when it doesn't work out, we sit and complain about the outcome. Well, once the outcome is present, it does no good to complain. You have to live with it. You have to live with the outcomes. I want to encourage you to encourage your family, and I'm going to encourage you all to do this. When you're making decisions as a family, first and foremost, let the person who has the expertise make the decision. That doesn't suggest that you can't present ideas, but you should present the ideas after they've made a decision. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because once a decision has been made, you can make modifications to the decisions after discussions. If you know someone in your family has an expertise in a particular area, let them make the decision. And then once they have a decision made, they can listen to your ideas and make modifications. Or they may just simply decide, okay, I've made a decision about this particular aspect or this particular entity or this particular item. I've made a decision, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. And then once you share your thoughts, they can make a decision on whether there needs to be modification, or they can make a decision on should they stand on that decision. And the reason is because you'll waste a lot of time debating the topic back and forth. People are going to have their thoughts scrambled, and they're not going to be able to think clearly because of all the chatter. Everyone needs to take a step back. If there's a problem within the family, you share the problem with the person who has the expertise. Let them research or review the data, and then let them make a decision. And once they make a decision, they'll share the decision with you. And when they just share the decision with you, you can then say, well, what about this? Or what about that? Did you consider this? And they're either going to say, okay, you know what, I can make some revisions, or they're going to say, you know, that's a better idea, or they're going to say, I think this is the way we should proceed. Let's stand on this decision. But when you have everyone with different personalities trying to do it their way, it's not going to be the best way. And then what happens is we end up spending a lot of time trying to correct what's already been done just because someone wanted to do it their way. And that's not efficient. And what we want is to be effective and efficient. We want to work hard and smart. We want to be effective in everything we do, and we want to be efficient in everything we do so that we can maximize the quality of our lives. And that's how we maximize the quality of our lives, being effective and being efficient. Stop trying to get your family to do things your way, and tell your families to stop trying to get you to do things their way. Let's do it the right way. Let's stop allowing society to dictate what we think or how we think things should be done. Let's take the most effective approach and the most efficient approach to get to where we want to go in all of our lives. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, check for the store hours. Things are starting to open back up at a specific point in time. Will be completely reopened, but right now, check for the store hours. Stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York and a store at the Short Hills Mall in Short Hills, New Jersey. So if you're in either of those areas, check for their store hours. Stop in at the retail stores. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. If you're not in either of those areas, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that all your daughter wants to do is have fun. She does not focus on her work. She is not focused on the important things in life. Just having a good time, that's all that's important to her. And you want to know, what can you do to get her more focused? You know, I will share with you what God has shown me as I was prayerful about this. I'm very prayerful for the millennial generation. And the reason is because I feel like we're losing a whole generation. And what God showed me is that in this particular instance, there's nothing you are going to be able to do to get your daughter to focus. You can encourage her to focus, and you can pray for her. She's going to do exactly what she wants to do. And she's going to learn from that experience. She's not going to learn from your instruction. She's going to learn from the consequence of that experience. And unfortunately, that consequence means there's going to be some peaks and there's going to be some valleys. And eventually, she will learn that fun is overrated. I like to use that analogy. I'm not implying that we shouldn't ever have a good time in life. What I am implying is that fun is overrated. Everything cannot be about fun. Everything needs to be about focus. You'll enjoy life so much more when we focus on what's important, what's most important in life. And what's most important in life is our health, our spiritual wealth, and our prosperity. And that's for each of us and our entire families. If we focus, we will learn to not only experience the fullness of God, but to maximize the fullness of God and to live within the fullness of God. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast is brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you perfect peace. I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, if you are in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us at New Life Christian Center, where I serve as senior pastor, at 400 Hillcrest Avenue at the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809 at 10 a.m. Service begins. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. We are living to live out the Word of God and to experience the fullness of God. So we invite you to come. Come and worship. If you're not in our area, come and worship at 10 a.m. But if you're not in our area,